On the day of my 10th birthday, Aunt Zhang, inebriated, embraced me and declared that I was her daughter. I feigned ignorance. I continued to bask in the indulgence of my parents, leading a life of opulence, possessing my first house at the age of 10, establishing my first company at 15, and at 22, returning from overseas to fulfill my engagement to the wealthiest scion of the Gu family. In stark contrast, the girl from Aunt Zhang's family, Zhaodi, was burdened with the responsibility of preparing meals and managing household chores at the tender age of 10. By 15, she was coerced into dropping out of school to work menial jobs. And at 18, after refusing to return to her village for an arranged marriage, she vanished after suffering a brutal beating. Time has validated my choices. On the day of my wedding, as I exchanged vows with my husband, Zhaodi, battered and bruised, burst into the ceremony, exclaiming, "I am the true daughter of the Gu family, and I intend to reclaim both my parents and my engagement." I calmly removed my veil and replied with a smile, "Very well. Chi-Chi, Auntie has prepared your favorite corn and rib soup." The corn and ribs are freshly picked from the vegetable garden in the countryside. Aunt Zhang Chuiping, as usual, served me with warmth and care. Since my earliest memories, she has been by my side, meticulously crafting my meals according to a nutritionist's guidelines. If I stumbled while walking, she would insist on taking me for a comprehensive health checkup. To provide me with the utmost care, she resided in our home year-round, ever ready to attend to my needs. My parents often remarked that Aunt Zhang's attentiveness surpassed that of a guardian for a national treasure. Naturally, her devotion stemmed from the fact that she considered me her own daughter. I took my seat at the dining table, consciously disregarding the anticipation in her eyes, and responded nonchalantly. Its averaged, a flicker of disappointment crossed Aunt Zhang's gaze, swiftly replaced by a gesture of pride as she presented a plate of fried chicken. "This is Chi-Chi's favoritito, indulge." At the kitchen door stood a girl, her eyes filled with longing as they fixated on the meal before us. She was emaciated and ragged, salivating as she leaned against the doorframe. That girl was my mother's biological daughter, whom Aunt Zhang had named Zhaodi. Noticing my gaze, Aunt Zhang gently reassured me. "Did I frighten you, Chi-Chi? Fear not. Auntie will send her away." I tilted my head and smiled sweetly. "Auntie, let my sister join us for dinner." Aunt Zhang affectionately patted my head, her maternal love evident. "Chi-Chi is truly kind-hearted." With that, she stormed toward Zhaodi, seizing her ear and dragging her backward, exclaiming, "You have grown bold. What gives you the audacity to emerge from the kitchen? Do you think you can pay for the fright you caused my Chi-Chi with your wretched life?" Zhaodi was pulled back into the kitchen, her cries soon silenced by the arrival of my parents, prompting Aunt Zhang to rush out to greet them. My mother, Sheriwehua, instructed me to don the new dress she had purchased, scrutinizing me from various angles as if appraising a product, before breaking into a satisfied smile. What a remarkable child I have raised. Have you attended your piano lesson?" I lowered my head and replied obediently, "Today's lesson is in the afternoon. The teacher will be arriving soon." As Sheriwehua accepted the tea from Aunt Zhang, her eyes fell upon Zhaodi, who lay in the corner. Frowning, she remarked, "Zhang Jia, I only allowed you to bring your daughter here out of pity for the two of you. Just look at the state she's in. With all those germs, what if she infects my Chi-Chi?" And Zhang, while putting on a smile, forcibly dragged Zhaodi into the living room, muttering incessantly, "Don't you know how to wash your face? What a repulsive creature. Look at how beautiful Chi-Chi is." Sheriwehua urged me to sit down and gently said, "You see, being the daughter of the Sher family is truly a blessing." I nodded in agreement. To be the daughter of my mother is indeed a fortune I must have earned over several lifetimes. We, a family of 3, were seated harmoniously upon the sofa. Zhaodi, in excruciating pain, pleaded for mercy. "Mother, I am truly sorry. I acknowledge my mistakes." She wiped away the blood from her forehead, bowing her head submissively as she apologized to Zhang Zhaoping. Zhang Zhaoping responded with a swift kick to her knee, causing Zhaodi to collapse heavily onto the ground. "What good does it do to apologize to me? Hurry and apologize to Chi-Chi." Zhaodi crawled on her knees to my mother and me, timidly uttering, "Sir, ma'am, miss, I am sorry." My father, Zhao Xingyuan, was beside himself with concern, quickly helping her to her feet. "Zhaoping, how could you hit a child like that? Come on, uncle will take you to get some medicine." Zhang Zhaoping snorted dismissively. "This girl is nothing but a worthless wretch. She never learns her lesson unless she's punished. Unlike our Chi-Chi, who is destined to be a princess." My mother disapproved of my father's concern for Zhaodi, clearing her throat. "Dear, does the child of a maid warrant such attention from you? I merely feel pity for her. She is the same age as our Chi-Chi," Zhao Xingyuan explained, though his hands instinctively released Zhaodi. Shi Weiwa, after admiring her freshly manicured nails, finally rose leisurely. Without hesitation, she stepped directly onto Zhaodi's outstretched palm with her sharp stilettos. Zhaodi, though in pain, dared not cry out. The back of her already frail hand immediately bore red marks. Perhaps even a fracture. Zhang Zhaodi seemed oblivious to Zhaodi's suffering, her face adorned with a bright smile as she approached me. Chi, it's almost time for piano class. We should go. I cast a blank glance at Zhaodi, who was in tears, cradling her hand, and said, have her checked, after the medicine. She can join me in the classroom to practice. After the lesson concluded, Shi Weiwa and Zhao Xingyuan unexpectedly arrived for a check-in. Your birthday banquet is in 3 days. Play a piece for me, so you won't embarrass yourself in front of the Gu family. Upon finishing my performance, Shi Weiwa was pleased, declaring, not bad. The daughter of the Shi family is truly intelligent. The piano teacher, eager to showcase her teaching prowess, pushed Zhaodi, who had been observing, forward, ingratiatingly stating, Madam Shi, do you think we should continue classes? My skills are exceptional. Look, even a child like Zhang Zhaodi, with zero foundation, can now play a complete piece. No sooner had she finished speaking than Zhaodi shrank back, shaking her head frantically. Before I could intervene, Shi Weiwa coldly said, then let me hear you play a piece. Zhaodi, paralyzed with fear, looked to me for help, and I nodded gently, go ahead. Zhang Zhaodi, her demeanor menacing, grasped Zhaodi's arm tightly, dragging her to the piano, threatening, play well, and don't disgrace me. Zhaodi played even better than I did, prompting the teacher to shower her with praise. Madam Shi, listen to how well she plays. As long as Miss Chi continues her lessons for half a year, I guarantee she will play as well as Zhang Zhaodi. I sighed, and, before Shi Weiwa could grow angry, I sent away the oblivious teacher. Shi Weiwa, gazing at Zhaodi's face, which bore a striking resemblance to her own, remarked sarcastically to Zhao Xingyuan, this distant relative's daughter seems to possess musical talent. Should I sponsor her to study abroad? Zhao Xingyuan, frightened, dared not utter a word, frantically signaling Zhang Zhaodi to take Zhaodi away. Dear, do not jest, you can afford to feed them, but they are not worthy of studying the arts like our Chi. In a show of loyalty, Zhang Zhaodi kicked Zhaodi in the lower back and forcefully twisted her fingers backward, her expression indicating a genuine desire to break Zhaodi's fingers. How dare you practice piano secretly after being told not to?
Speak.
Were you sneaking off to the piano room to practice without my knowledge or that of Chi? With a life as worthless as yours, how dare you even dream of learning the piano? If it weren't for Chi-Chi's kind heart, you'd never lay a finger on a piano in your lifetime. Zhao Xingyuan reached out, wanting to assist, but for some reason, he withdrew his hand. I observed everything, remarking indifferently, Dad, Zhaodi is somewhat related to you. Shouldn't you protect her a bit? At my words, Zhao Xingyuan reacted vehemently, pushing me away and shouting, what nonsense are you spouting? I have no blood relation to her. My hand struck the piano heavily, the keys emitting a dull sound as pain surged through me, prompting an involuntary cry. Zhang Zhaodi, more anxious than Shi Weiwa, quickly cradled my hand, blowing gently on the red marks, her sharp gaze accusing Zhao Xingyuan. Why did you push her? Chi-Chi's hands are meant for playing the piano. They must not be harmed. Shi Weiwa clicked her tongue, impatiently saying, let us see if it affects her playing. If you delay her from meeting the Gu family, don't expect to live comfortably again. On the day of the birthday banquet, Zhang Zhaodi was bustling about, ensuring each dish was tasted by her before being served in the front hall. Even a crooked bow on a chair would provoke her ire with the staff. This is my Chi-Chi's 18th birthday banquet, a rite of passage. You worthless lowlifes. If it weren't for this opportunity to work as servers, you would never dream of witnessing such a grand affair. As I emerged in my gown, Zhaodi, looking disheveled in tattered clothing, followed behind me, holding up my train. Zhang Zhaodi repeatedly exclaimed, Chi, you look stunning. Marrying into the Gu family is a fortune for generations. Suddenly, upon noticing Zhaodi behind me, her expression changed and she shouted, do not dare touch Chi-Chi's gown with your filthy hands. Release it at once, or I'll have your hands severed. Zhaodi let go, timidly murmuring, Mother, today is also my birthday. Before she could finish, Zhang Zhaodi slapped her hard. You wretched girl think you can celebrate your birthday too? Go to the kitchen and scrounge for some leftovers. The evening's birthday banquet proceeded seamlessly, with the Gu family highly satisfied with my performance, particularly my fiancé, Gu Yi, whose gaze seemed glued to me. He announced on the spot that once I returned from studying abroad, we would hold our wedding. Shi Weiwa was pleased. as this signified the continuation of the partnership between the Shi and Gu families. That night, Shi Weihua swiftly finalized my study abroad plan and summoned Zhang Zhaodi and her daughter, giving them 1 week to vacate the Shi household. With an air of superiority, Shi Weihua tossed a check onto the table. "This is your compensation for 18 years of serving my daughter. Take the money and leave promptly." Zhang Zhaodi, unwilling to accept, bit her lip and glanced at Zhao Xingyuan, softly pleading, "Madam, I have cared for Qiqi for so long. Why not let me accompany her abroad? She will not be accustomed to being without my care." I chuckled lightly, "Aunt Zhang, do not overestimate your importance. You are merely a servant. As long as I pay well, people like you are everywhere." Taken aback by my words, Zhang Zhaodi's eyes turned red, her face etched with grievance. "Qiqi, I have cared for you since you were born. How can you treat me so coldly?" Zhaodi cautiously touched Zhang Zhaodi's hand. "Mother, you still have me. Get away." Zhang Zhaodi rejected Zhaodi's kindness, shoving her aside. "What do you have to compare with Qiqi? She is." Realizing she had misspoken, her outburst abruptly ceased. Her fingers clenched and then relaxed, and after calming herself, she picked up the check, her voice filled with reluctance. "Qiqi, take care of yourself abroad. If you need anything, let me know. Your auntie will always be waiting for you." I smiled. "Wait for me? Then wait for the surprise I will give you in 4 years." While studying abroad, I heard that Zhaodi had been coerced by Zhang Zhaodi into marriage, but managed to escape with some money. Zhang Zhaodi even contacted me, inquiring if I knew of Zhaodi's whereabouts. After I ridiculed her, she ceased to care for Zhaodi, claiming she had wasted 18 years on her. 4 years later, upon my return to the country, Shi Weihua eagerly arranged my wedding to Gu Yi. The venue was filled with luminaries, the atmosphere grand. Just as we were about to exchange rings, the door swung open, and a filthy woman burst in. It was Zhaodi. She brandished a paternity test report, shouting, "I am the biological daughter of the Shi family. Qiqi is the daughter of the maid, Zhang Zhaodi. This wedding belongs to me." She rolled up her sleeves, revealing the bruises she had endured over the years while being by Zhang Zhaodi's side, her voice choked with emotion. "Zhang Zhaodi is nothing but a devil. She never fed me, never treated me like a human being. I have borne all this suffering for you." With that, she rushed to Shi Weihua, crying out, "Mother, I am your biological daughter. The years of separation between us have been so painful for me." At this moment, Zhang Zhaodi, who had been lurking outside to witness my wedding, stormed in. Ignoring her own dignity, she began to vociferously accuse Zhaodi. "You little wretch. You stole my money and ran away, and now you dare to ruin Qiqi's wedding? Get out here." Zhaodi's sobs were heartfelt, and the audience was in an uproar. What? How could the daughter of a maid be a daughter of the Shi family? The Shi family has invested so much in Qiqi, raising her since childhood. How could they simply deny her? I removed my veil, interrupting the speculation. "I am indeed the daughter of the maid, Zhang Zhaodi." Zhao Xingyuan was the first to react with agitation, pulling me aside. "Don't speak nonsense. Your mother endured so much pain giving birth to you. Of course, you are her biological child. Someone, throw these troublemakers out. The wedding must go on." The guests, not fully understanding the situation, began to jeer, calling me an ungrateful wretch, as I was about to marry into a wealthy family and yet disavow my biological parents. I smiled, withdrawing my hand, and stated clearly, "Is it not clear to you whether it is true or not?" Zhao Xingyuan was in a fluster, retreating step by step, struggling to suppress his trembling lips in defense. "How could I possibly know? Qiqi, even if you are going mad, consider the occasion. This is your wedding." After saying this, he embraced Shi Weihua, incessantly explaining that he knew nothing. Zhaodi, covered in ghastly scars, knelt at Shi Weihua's feet, crying out about her years of suffering. "Mother, I truly am your biological child. You must stand up for me." Shi Weihua frowned as she helped Zhaodi up, carefully examining the paternity test report before turning her gaze to me. "You knew all along? Then why did you not say anything? Why did you not tell me?" Seeing me being scolded, Zhang Zhaodi could no longer contain her anger. She shielded me behind her and began to argue with Shi Weihua. "You better adjust your attitude. Qiqi is now Mrs. Gu. With a mere flick of her finger, she could crush your Shi family. It is your blessing that you can raise my daughter. And now that everything is clear, let us take this opportunity to swap daughters." This wealthy mother-in-law, it seems, would also take her turn. Shi Weihua, who was accustomed to a life of luxury, was no match for Zhang Zhaodi and was rendered speechless, only able to clutch her chest and gasp for air. The once tranquil venue descended into chaos once more, with shouts and curses echoing throughout. Observing what seemed to be a decent person with such a malicious heart, one could only scoff. Bad genes cannot be cultivated into good stock. Indeed, the upper beam is not straight, and the lower beam will be crooked. Such a person still wishes to connect with the Gu family? Zhang Zhaodi disregarded the voices around her, pulling Guyi closer, speaking rapidly. Come. Quickly exchange the rings. From now on, I will be your mother. Guyi flung his hand, nearly causing Zhang Zhaodi to stumble off the stage. You must give my family an explanation. Zhao Xingyuan quickly stepped forward to drag Zhang Zhaodi away, pointing a finger at her and scolding her for being shameless. Sister Zhang, we have treated you well. Out of respect for your past service in our family, I will treat this as a moment of madness due to lack of funds. As long as you clarify that this is all nonsense you fabricated, I will not hold you accountable. Otherwise, I will not spare you. Zhao Xingyuan's gaze was fierce. He blamed Zhang Zhaodi and Zhaodi for disrupting his plans. Zhang Zhaodi's eyes flashed as she hesitated for a moment before resolutely shouting, I am not speaking nonsense. Shortstory is indeed my biological child. For all these years, I have taken care of her meticulously, so much so that I hardly ever attended to my own daughter. I have dedicated my life to your Shur family. Thankfully, heaven has blessed me, and it turns out I've been caring for my own biological daughter all along. What right do you have to prevent our mother-daughter reunion? As she spoke, Zhang Zhaodi began to recount the abuses she had suffered in the Shur household. I served Shurqi year-round without rest, but Shuri Wehua, out of jealousy for our closeness, would find fault with me every few days. Not only did she vent her anger on me, but she also beat Zhaodi. Zhaodi, I did not mean to hit you if I did not. That vile woman Shuri Wehua would not allow you to live. I know you hate me, but I have genuinely cared for you. It is all that wretched woman Shuri Wehua who has harmed us all. Gasps of disbelief echoed throughout the crowd. Could Shuri Wehua truly be such a person? A prominent businesswoman capable of committing child abuse? Amidst the crowd, someone finally pointed out the crux of the matter, saying, shouldn't we focus our anger on Shurqi? She has known the truth all along. Instantly, the crowd redirected their fury, denouncing her as a venomous snake, having occupied the rightful position of another for over 2 decades, shamelessly seeking to marry into the Gu family now. Shameless. While she enjoys the life of a wealthy young lady, the true heiress suffers abuse. She should be reported to the authorities. Zhaodi, trembling, summoned her courage to say, Shurqi deliberately watched me suffer. She often bullied me, and the food I ate was already stale. She would even force me to eat spoiled leftovers. Shurqi, you wicked person, never expect to live a good life again. You used money to study abroad while I had to hide and wash dishes. You owe me what you must repay. I accepted all the accusations. Yes, it was deliberate. Your existence, and that of Zhang Zhaodi, is a mistake. Your presence annoys me. You bring little joy to my life, and that is the extent of your value. Zhang Zhaodi, in her desperation, blamed all the faults on Shuri Wehua, but no matter how she tried to clarify, people had already branded me as a villain. Zhao Xingyuan was genuinely anxious. He bound Zhang Zhaodi's arms, attempting to drag her away, but I did not give him that opportunity. Why is Mr. Zhao more anxious than the Shur family? Could it be that you are also aware of this scandal regarding the swapped children? How could that be possible? Zhao Xingyuan hastily distanced himself from the matter. Dear, speak up. This wedding must continue. The contract between the Gu family and the Shur family cannot be severed. When it came to interests, Shuri Wehua finally regained her composure, declaring, no matter what, Chi-Chi is my daughter. Rest assured, the wedding between our 2 families will continue. This matter will not affect the cooperation between our 2 conglomerates. Before her words had fully settled, Zhaodi suddenly went mad, shoving everyone aside. Screaming as she rushed toward the cake, raising a knife, you all side with that wretched Shurqi. I hate you all. With that, she plunged the knife into her abdomen, and blood instantly soaked her clothing. After a brief moment of shock, many rushed toward Zhaodi, their anguished cries reverberating throughout the banquet hall. Amidst the chaos, Zhang Zhaodi seized the opportunity. If one were to overlook her hand testing Zhaodi's breathing, she could indeed be seen as a caring mother. Poor child, it is the Shur family that has forced you to your death. In the afterlife, please watch over Chi-Chi. Someone began recording on their phone, and it was unclear who opened the door, but soon the onlookers filled the banquet hall. Amidst their jeers, the bystanders began to piece together the events. In their eyes, I was now a beast who had long known I was not the real heiress. not only refusing to clarify, but also using my status to bully the true heiress. Waves of malice surged toward me. Some even took the opportunity to grab food from the table and throw it at me, quickly covering me in soup and vegetable leaves. Beast. You are unworthy of being human. Just wait to go to jail. Though I had the chance to allow the true heiress to study and learn just as I had, what did she do? She allowed the true heiress to live a life worse than that of a pig or a dog. Faced with the crowd's overwhelming fury, I remained unfazed, calmly walking over to Zhang Zhaodi. As I approached, Zhang Zhaodi quickly rose, and upon closer inspection, there were no traces of tears on her face. Chichi. Do not be alarmed. It looks gruesome. Be careful of nightmares. After softly uttering these words, she turned to Shuriwehua and said sternly, Shuriwehua, you have now driven Zhaodi to her demise. Are you satisfied? Although Zhaodi is not my biological child, she is a daughter I have painstakingly raised for over 20 years. How cruel of you. She is your flesh and blood. Zhang Zhaodi is quite adept at understanding human emotions, knowing precisely when to feign pity. The injuries Zhaodi bears are clearly the result of her machinations. She orchestrated the entire affair. Yet, she continues to play the game, even attempting to extricate herself from blame. I fixed her with a cold stare and remarked, Cease your charade, Zhang Zhaodi. Is this not precisely the outcome you desired? Upon hearing my words, a flicker of guilt flashed across her eyes. But she quickly regained her composure. She deflected the conversation, saying, What are you talking about, Chi-Chi? As mother and daughter, we are of one heart. You mustn't misunderstand your mother. This is all that Shuriwehua's fault. Had she not provoked Zhaodi, she would not have despaired. Fear not, mother will protect you. Nearby, someone lamented, The love of a mother is truly magnificent. She grew close to her while acting as a nanny. What else could it be but blood ties? Sure, she is indeed fortunate, having lived as a young lady for over 2 decades, and now she possesses such a loving biological mother. Before I could speak, silence fell at the entrance as police and doctors pushed through the crowd. Zhaodi was swiftly taken away, and after assessing the situation, the police requested those involved to return for questioning. I interjected, Let us speak here. The police, recognizing my cordial demeanor and the prominence of the Shur and Gu families in the community, did not insist on taking me to the station. They activated their body cameras and inquired, You claim to have known your origins all along. How is that so? I candidly replied, At the age of 10, Zhang Zhaodi was intoxicated and clutched me, declaring that I was her biological child while Zhaodi was merely Shuriwehua's daughter. She confessed that her actions were driven by a desire for revenge against Shuriwehua. The police frowned and asked, And then? She revealed her intention to raise Zhaodi to be ineffectual so that once I was accepted into a wealthy family, she could rightfully claim me as her daughter and enjoy the Shur family's wealth alongside me. Upon hearing this, Shuriwehua broke into tears, exclaiming, All for money? You orchestrated our separation for over 20 years? I interrupted her sobs with a laugh. Stop pretending. Does it truly matter to you which family name is attached? You merely seek a tool for matrimonial alliance. Shuriwehua was momentarily stunned, stammering, No. Zhao Xingyuan seized the moment, his eyes reddening as he exclaimed, You knew all along. Why did you not intervene when Zhang Zhaodi mistreated Zhaodi? Can you truly reconcile your actions with your mother's nurturing? I turned to Zhao Xingyuan and asked, Were you not also aware? At my words, the police redirected their scrutiny towards Zhao Xingyuan, who immediately became restless, breaking out into a cold sweat, stuttering, What nonsense are you spouting? Do you have proof? The police interjected. I nodded and slowly stated, Indeed, I possess evidence. For I am the offspring of Zhang Zhaodi and Zhao Xingyuan. Zhang Zhaodi was a betrothed child from Zhao Xingyuan's youth in the village. After Zhao Xingyuan married into the Shur family, they conspired to have Zhang Zhaodi come to the Shur household as a distant cousin, while both she and Shuriwehua were pregnant and gave birth simultaneously, intending to swap me and Zhaodi. Zhao Xingyuan was aware of this scheme from the outset. Yet he remained indifferent, for both daughters share his blood. Regardless of who inherits the fortune, it ultimately belongs to him, Zhao Xingyuan. Zhao Xingyuan, in denial, retorted, All of this is mere speculation on your part. You have no proof. You are slandering me. I let out a cold laugh. What a coincidence. I possess a paternity test report. I retrieved the document from a corner table where it clearly stated the biological relationship between Zhaodi and me, as well as Zhao Xingyuan. As the report was unveiled, gasps filled the room. After all this commotion, it appeared that this so-called Phoenix man was merely seeking to elevate himself. How contemptible for a man to allow his own flesh and blood to be abused by Zhang Zhaodi. He is indifferent to such matters. He only cares for wealth. One can argue against marrying into the family, yet look at what the Shi family has attracted. Upon hearing these discussions, Zhao Xingyuan's face oscillated between red and white. But he remained obstinate, saying, "No matter how you put it, at the end of the day, I am your biological father. I remained unfazed. If I acknowledge you, then you are my father. If I do not, you are nothing." Shi Huahua, recovering from her shock, clutched the report tightly and hurled it at Zhao Xingyuan, questioning. "We have not treated you poorly. Is this how you repay us? You allowed my daughter to suffer abuse right before my eyes. You will not escape unscathed. I will ensure you pay for this." The police, bewildered by the tangled web of relationships, urged, "Madam Shi, please remain calm." Before Shi Huahua could respond, I interjected, "What facade of goodness are you putting on? As if you have ever treated me kindly. You do not require your biological daughter. You merely need someone to help you solidify your standing." A relative from the Shi family retorted, "Shi, you cannot speak like that. Without the Shi family, you are nothing. Do you think all those years of luxury, studying abroad, and experiencing the world came from thin air?" I scoffed. "You seem quite envious. If that is the case, why don't you marry me off today?" As the clamor rose again, to avoid complicating matters for the police, I raised my voice and continued. "Shi Huahua claims that I am closer to the nanny. Why don't you enlighten everyone as to why that is? It is because you have never regarded me as human. At the age of 8, when a business partner praised my charm and innocence, you sent me to his room, indifferent to my tears and protests, threatening to cast me out if I did not comply. Thankfully, that partner was timid. Seeing my distress, he refrained from proceeding further. Upon my revelation, those who had previously accused me of ingratitude fell silent. You seek evidence, do you? I have meticulously documented every instance. They are likely already in the police station's records. Such occurrences transpired countless times during my 18 years of life. On the night of my coming-of-age ceremony, did you not wish to send me to Gu Ye's uncle's room as well? I cast a bemused glance at the Gu family, remarking, a collection of heartless individuals, truly believing that donning formal attire renders them human. Had it not been for Zhaodi's intervention that night, I might not be standing here today. The police remained silent for a moment before asking, "Since Zhaodi is your savior, why did you not intervene to prevent her from attempting suicide?" "Why should I?" Shi Huahua is unscrupulous in her pursuit of profit. Zhang Zhaodi disregards human life for the sake of money. Her existence holds little hope. Shi Huahua's eyes burned with rage, her gaze seething with hatred as I unveiled her dark side, realizing her chances of redemption were slim. She cast aside her pretense, declaring, "Do you think you can topple me and the Shi family with this? Dream on. Your scant evidence will not bring me down." I ignored her and turned my focus to Zhao Xingyuan. "You have lived in comfort for so long that you may have overlooked Zhang Zhaodi's transformation. She has not been circling around you for quite some time, has she?" Zhao Xingyuan's eyes flickered as he glanced at Zhang Zhaodi. "Do you believe she remains devoted to you? Are you still dreaming of benefiting from their conflict?" I approached Zhang Zhaodi, draping my arm around her shoulder, feeling her tremble violently. "Aunt Zhang, why not share with everyone your plans for murder? Your meticulous notes in the bedside drawer detail car accidents, fires, and escapes. You truly harbor no remnants of affection, do you?" Zhang Zhaodi shuddered, nearly losing her footing, desperately attempting to escape my grasp. "Chi, I am your biological mother. I carried you for 10 months and devoted 20 years to your upbringing. You cannot treat me this way." Zhao Xingyuan's male pride was insulted, igniting a surge of courage within him as he seized the opportunity to choke Zhang Zhaodi, gritting his teeth. "You wretched woman. Do you think I would kill for you without considering my own capabilities?" Fortunately, the police present reacted swiftly, yet by the time Zhao Xingyuan was pulled away, Zhang Zhaodi was left gasping for breath. Under the comforting presence of the Shi family, Shi Huahua has regained her composure. Drawing upon her negotiation prowess, she addresses the assembled police officers, stating, "Ladies and gentlemen, my attorney will arrive shortly, and until then, I shall not accept any allegations against me." I applaud, urging everyone to listen to the wailing sirens outside. Do you hear that? That is the call I made to the authorities. Shi Huahua, your retribution is only just beginning. The sound of sirens grows louder until it ceases. A new wave of economic crime officers arrives. "Miss Shi Huahua, you are implicated in multiple economic offenses. Please accompany us." The smile that had graced her face once more falters, and she exclaims in disbelief, "This is impossible. I am innocent." You have no evidence to detain me. One of the officers nods in acknowledgement towards me, and at that moment, Shi Yuehua finally comprehends. Shi, is it you? I cannot believe you could procure any evidence without having been involved with the company. I hand over the crucial surveillance evidence to the police, and my taut nerves relax slightly. It is indeed a flaw in your company's background checks that you were unaware of Zhaodi's for years as a cleaner in the group. Zhao Xingyuan, who had been detained, suddenly lifts her head, disbelief etched across her features. This cannot be. She has already been crippled by Cui Ping. She should have perished outside. Zhang Cui Ping, who had just caught her breath, is equally stunned. Vile creatures. All of you. I should have killed her back then. If the Shi family falls, how shall I maintain my status as a wealthy matron? Her expression becomes increasingly deranged. Her hair is disheveled as she mutters to herself, No, no. I am still a wealthy matron. My daughter is the wife of the Gu family. I am a mother-in-law of a prominent family. The police officer, the most lucid in this chaos, retorts, So today was merely a performance between you and Zhang Zhaodi? I exhale deeply. Indeed. We have orchestrated this for over 20 years, all for this moment. Zhaodi was never truly injured. She merely wrapped some blood packs around her waist to facilitate her exit from this chaotic scene, for I feared she might genuinely be harmed. The officer sighs, pats my shoulder, and offers consolation. You have endured much. The Economic Crime Unit is methodically clearing the scene, and the members of the Shi and Gu families have been handcuffed. Shi Yuehua finally bows her head in defeat. A smile unconsciously graces my lips. It is truly wonderful. Everything is nearing its conclusion. Just as I prepare to leave with the police, a furious roar erupts from Zhao Xingyuan behind me. Shi, if you deny me life, you shall not live either. In an instant, I am tackled from behind. The sound of a knife piercing flesh reaches my ears. Yet the anticipated pain does not manifest. No, Shi cannot die. I still aspire to be a wealthy matron. Zhang Cui Ping collapses against my back, blood spilling from her mouth as she gasps, My daughter. My daughter is a young lady of privilege. I am a mother-in-law of a prominent family. The events transpire too swiftly. By the time I comprehend, Zhao Xingyuan has been subdued and handcuffed, still shouting in a desperate struggle. Meanwhile, Zhang Cui Ping has ceased to breathe. I am taken away for questioning, and by the time everything is clarified, I exit the police station in the early hours of the morning. Gazing at the moon above, I am engulfed in profound confusion. Zhang Cui Ping had treated me kindly, yet that does not erase the reality of her abuse towards Zhaodi. Her kindness stemmed from her desire to elevate her own life at my expense. In pursuit of that elusive good life, she ultimately sacrificed her own. Sister, what are you thinking about? From behind, Zhaodi gently drapes a coat over my shoulders. Sister, it is all behind us. Our good days are yet to come. Her words disperse the dark clouds looming over my heart, and I embrace her, both laughing and crying. Yes, our good days are upon us. The following day, we packed our belongings and embarked on a nationwide road trip. As the car ascended the highway, Zhaodi presented her new identification. She had changed her name to Shifeng, hoping for a future as free as the wind. I took the surname Shi because yours is Shi, sister. All along, you have been my only family. Sister, had it not been for your protection over the years, Zhang Cui Ping would have long since killed me. You need not feel guilt. Everything the Shi family taught you, you have shared with me. I am fully aware of your kindness. We are but shadows of one another. 3 months later, at the country's border, we received news of our former adversaries. The evidence against Shi Yuehua for multiple economic crimes was irrefutable, resulting in a 20-year sentence. The other members of the Shi family were not spared either. The once mighty conglomerate crumbled in an instant. Zhao Xingyuan, guilty of intentional homicide, alongside his dealings with Shi Yuehua, faced a sentence of death with a 2-year reprieve. With all settled, I took Shifeng to my alma mater, fulfilling her dream of attending university, while I utilized my savings to open a Chinese restaurant near the school, occasionally assisting diligent students working to support themselves. Wherever Shifeng may be, that is our home. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and like to support us. Until we meet again in the next story.